February 1916 marked the beginning of one of the bloodiest engagements in human history, the Battle of Verdun. German troops attempted to storm the French fortifications and end the stalemate, but determined French resistance managed, despite horrifying losses, to hold back our troops, and after 10 months, everyone was back to where they started, except for the over 1 million men who lost their lives on both sides. It would still take millions more, and 3 more years, until the German victory was finally sealed in the Treaty of Versailles. The Weltkrieg showed the world the devastating power of defensive positions. Forts, machine guns, deep trenches, reinforced bunkers, artillery barrages. Nobody could move through such a hellfire. Young men like Baron von Richthofen were just beginning to explore new technologies. Now, almost 25 years after the first battle, Verdun once again saw French and German soldiers facing each other, but it was meant to be a very different outcome. Von Richthofen's Luftwaffe had decimated the combined syndicalist air force in the months preceding the offense. French defensive positions around Verdun were bypassed by von Kluge's armored cavalry, yet the French generals, still in the mindset of the last Weltkrieg, maintained their dug-in positions along the line. Only when reports of the fall of Dijon started piling in did the French military leadership realize how quickly and how far the German Panzers had advanced. But by then, it was too late. Lines of communication were cut, desperate counterattacks were repelled, and a full field army was stuck in their positions. Massed bombardment by Luftwaffe bombers day and night, shells twice the size of a man fired by railway artillery, and direct fire by tanks caused French soldiers to emerge, dazed, from their shattered fortifications, and lay down their arms in numbers reminiscent of the surrender of the Northern Force. Innumerable bodies still lay beneath the rubble, and so once again Verdun is a symbol of the brutal reality of war, and a reminder that the tactics of old no longer work against the firepower of a mechanized war machine. After the victory of Verdun, the French forces are scattered and mounting their final defense south of the river line all the way from Paris to Dijon. We'll be concentrating the 2nd Panzer in Dijon for a push towards Bordeaux, and the assault divisions in the north are going to sweep the north of France and liberate it from syndicalist influence. At the same time, operations in Narvik are about to begin, and we are holding steady on the Eastern Front. The air war over France is all but over. There are still remnants of syndicalist fighters up in the air, a few French, a few British, and very few Mexicans, but the Luftwaffe has total dominance, and over the past month we have shot down 2,500 fighter craft, 3,500 ground support craft, and almost 250 bombers, for a loss of 450 fighters on our own, which is a very good ratio. That said, in the east we are still outnumbered by the Russian forces, but with the experienced wings of the Luftwaffe about to move over, this should not be a huge problem. So while the forces are reorganizing after the destruction in Verdun, we are going to have a quick look at the Ethiopia group, which is a part of the Heeresgruppe Afrika, which is missing a leader. And we also have mountain divisions under von Falkenhorst, which are deployed in Azerbaijan. So we can see if we can cause some havoc for the Russians here. And this group is going to be needing a field marshal. This is going to become an African Central Asian group, sort of. And we have a venerable general, the Crown Prince Ruprecht von Bayern, in our midst, hero of the Weltkrieg, and one of the most capable generals at the time. So I think it's about high time that we're going to be promoting him to Field Marshal, and he will be leading the Heeresgruppe Afrika. There we go, and we can probably very much going to be giving him a. He could get the unyielding defender, but I'm going to start out with how many traits do we have? 2. I'm going to start out with charismatic, and we can either go defensive or offensive. I think offensive doctrine. He is cautious, however, A +1 defense, yeah. I think defensive doctrine is more what suits him for maximum entrenchment against Russian counterattacks. However, that is not what the situation applies for. I think more bold strategies are going to be used. So I'm going to go offensive doctrine, and he will have to change his ways a little. This is not the Weltkrieg anymore. This is not the first one. This is a very, very different war at this point. Over in Siam, we are about to complete the surrender. The enemy troops are devastated and out of supply. The enemy capital of Chiang Mai is the last standing position that they have in the north, and I'm assuming that once the mountain fortress of Chiang Mai has fallen, then they are going to surrender. So we are just moving we're just moving some of the assault divisions into place, and then we'll complete Unternehmen Derfflinger and take the enemy capital. In fact, we've got 2 divisions in the north here that can... Yeah, no, we'll wait for the other ones. So let's get everybody into position. We do have some resistance problems in Denmark, so let's take a very quick look at that. And it's mostly around Copenhagen, where the Danish resistance is putting up some trouble. So we'll move Josef Jacobs over to try and sniff out resistance leaders and deal with them accordingly. Other than that, we still got 2 missions in progress, so that's all good. An uprising in Kenya has caused a civil war by the looks of it, and the Middle Africa Colonial Federation is joining, and hopefully will put a very quick end to the uprising of the Kenyan nationalists. So I don't think they will last very long, and I don't think they will need our help. We do have a military industrial organization. Which one is it? Schicherwerke for submarines. We can get additional hit points or additional torpedo attack. Torpedo attack it is. And yes, we will actually upgrade the submarine design. So let's have a brief look at the type. I think it's the Type 9 submarines that we're currently having. There it is. Anything else to upgrade? Yes, we can actually upgrade the radar module, which gives it significantly improved capabilities of actually finding the enemy and finding transports to sink. So very capable submarines, those. Type 9As, and we'll replace the production line. Submarine groups need a bit of refitting, honestly. So let's do this properly. Let's first replace this one, and the escort groups, convoy escort. The escort groups are starting to fill out, so I might be able to divert some production into other shipping soon. We are building, we're starting to build another Strasbourg class after a long time, and we can probably wind down the convoy production a little bit more, because we do have a good number of convoys at this point. And we've got 4 lines on the Zander class, so 3 lines on the Zerstörer 1941. So we might be able to wind down one of the Zanders, and yes, we are building up a relatively good escort group. But how is our convoy escort efficiency in general? Escort efficiency is at 100%, so I think, yeah, we can definitely start winding down the production of the Zander class frigates. So let's stop 2 lines, and then we'll get another lines of Type 9A submarines going. And we are, and we'll be filling out the Strasbourg class production here as well, and then we'll see what else. We are waiting for the advanced hull, and then we'll get some heavy ships going as well. So production will shift towards capital ships once more relatively soon. Urgent calls from the government in Georgia lead us to divert the mountain divisions towards the west here, and we might be able to reconnect some of the stranded Georgian troops in the north by destroying the Russian resistance in the area. And I think we can make a quick action here to push the Russians out of Georgia and to probably destroy a couple of Russian divisions in the process. So let's move the troops over, and please take the railway, so otherwise this is going to take forever. The Norwegian campaign should be now coming to a close, because we are ready for the naval invasion. So first Schlachtgeschwader with the heavies of SMS Lothringen, SMS König, SMS Kronprinz, Rheinland und Preußen are ready to pound the ground and support the naval assault. The danger of British interference is given that the British fleet is all but defeated, is at this point no longer valid. So we will support the naval invasion. The Frederick I railway artillery is ready to bombard the Narvik fortress, and then the Marines are ready to go. So let's give them their first actual naval invasion from the sea. The first naval invasion exercise. Marines are embarking in Trondheim and are en route into Narvik. News from the German colony of the Middle Africa Colonial Federation is typically described as uneventful and positive. Colonial administrators painting a picture of the project as a powerful expression of German might. The colony's very existence now seems to be in jeopardy, however, as what German authorities previously described as a small-scale dying conflict has violently erupted into war. In Kenya, a coalition of several different ethnicities have banded together in an insurgency to expel European settlers from the land. In response, Rudolf Asmis, the head of the colony, has sworn to restore order as Middle Afrikaner units set off for war. Okay, so yeah, that's the situation. That's the situation here. They should be able to handle that themselves. So. Slight ethnic uprisings in the region. That is something that we should be able to deal with on the ground, because right now we do have the naval invasion to observe. So let's do so. And troops are on the way, shipping over. The capital ships should be leaving port momentarily in order to support the invasion. And invisible ink is done, and I don't know what that's unlocked. Oh, these are just the recruitment decisions. Okay, I'm not that interested, but we can probably do some passive defense, just in case. There's the fleet leaving port. The few destroyers and cruisers escorting the old battleships ready for bombardment near Narvik. Meanwhile, while the Kaiserliche Marine is making continued successes in the Central Atlantic, we are losing submarines to a reported British group that is operating in the area. I think it might be time to move further west and start hunting down the remaining British raiders in the area. In the nested fjords of Narvik, the German Marines have run into strong Norwegian defense. We knew that Narvik was a fortress, but apparently the Norwegians had an idea that we were coming and are putting up a fierce resistance. The terrain really doesn't lend itself very well to attacks from the sea, but the two mountain divisions in the area under von Falkenhorst, the Alpenkorps and the 1st Gebirgsdivision, are going to join the attack now onto Narvik from the west, and that opens up the lines and brings sufficient firepower from the mountain divisions to bear. Depth charge throwers are finished, but we'll deal with that in a second once the Battle of Narvik is over. Because that's been a long time coming, so I want to conclude that. Right now, the relatively narrow terrain is still in favor of the Norwegian defenders. There are four enemy divisions placed, including the Welsh infantry division here. But it looks like slowly the British are being pushed out, both by the combined attack from sea, the heavy bombardment from the shore, and the mountain divisions starting to lend fire support from the west. The Germans are taking casualties and are getting exhausted by the attacks, but we have reserves, whereas the Norwegians are not. And it is only a matter of time until they will eventually succumb to the concentrated fire that we're subjecting them to. However, the first invasion of Narvik has been repelled with considerable German losses. We've taken 2,400 losses against an estimated enemy 800 losses, and it looks like the Marines have, as trained as they are and specialized as they are, even with heavy gun support, not managed to crack the Narvik fortress. We are going to probably need we're going to be needing increased air power and redirect air power back to Norway to bomb Narvik into submission. It's amazing how resilient the Norwegians are, despite the fact that they've lost almost all their territory. But first, let us go back. Actually, where are we on research? We've got 1 on industry, 2 on infantry, 1 on navy. We are probably going to be needing more capital ships. Depth charge mortar is something that we also have. We can research on the quick, honestly, because we actually have a interesting. Yeah, we've got some research bonuses that are compounding here. Really, we can probably better armor. However, is something that we're going to need as well, because that is going to make a difference for any kind of new capital ships that we're going to be researching. Let's do that on the quick, and we are going to use the Wilhelmshaven for that. So we're 8 days away, so we can still get that in. We have the Blom and Voss for escort ships. I think we're done with most of the escort relevant things. This is all light attack, anti-air. This is more for. This is really more for surface encounters, so it's not hugely important. We're not going to be upgrading the templates for that. We'll just roll with it. Flanders Wallonia wants to send expeditionary forces. We'll take them. Germany East Asia. No, you maintain forces, please. And the Middle Africa is asking us to join the war in Africa. Okay. So we have a couple of changes to make then. We do have the mountain divisions in Georgia. They're just getting ready for the assault. However, we also have the Gruppe Ethiopian that we may have to once again redeploy, actually. In fact, we've got 10 divisions from Flanders Wallonia which are currently not needed. However, what I'm thinking is I'm going to be using these for port guard along the coastline. Who's currently running the coast? The 7th under list. So let's give these to the 7th, and he can start guarding the newly taken or newly controlled French territory along the coastline against any potential invasions. However, it is a relatively unlikely scenario, but we'll deploy them there for now. He's got 24 divisions, so he can start taking that duty on. And we will redeploy the Ethiopian Gruppe under von Bock, and we will send them south. So probably a front line. How's this? I haven't looked at the supply situation anywhere in Africa. It looks like in the south here would be a good area. So let's deploy along the coast and assist with the invasion of, or with suppressing the Kenyan insurrection up there. A little bit of colonial politics in the mix. And nothing here. No, nothing here that I need to worry about. Okay, so a Narvik invasion has failed, and again shows that the purely land-based, purely sea-based, infantry-based Marines are not capable of taking strongly defended positions. We're going to wait for them to return to port, and then we will plan a second attempt. And for that, we will actually redeploy the. We'll have to send the Marines south. We'll redeploy the air force that we have currently stationed in Siam, where in Siam we are ready for the attack on the enemy capital. So let's begin moving. We are going to need the momentum here because Chiang Mai is a mountain fortress. The legation cities void the mandate, open door policy that kept peace and order between the ambitious Western nations and Japan and China has finally ended. With tensions in the world rising due to the events in Europe and Asia, the inevitability of conflict arriving on the Asian continent has led the legation cities to join the Entente faction in a great break from the traditional non-alignment of the cities. This places the treaty ports firmly in the Entente sphere of influence. The legation mandate has ended with the nations of the international alliances withdrawing their troops and ambassadors from the legation cities. Businesses scramble at this, effectively places the treaty ports under the economic sphere of the Entente. While this marks an end of an era, this may also lead to unforeseen consequences, as now all bets are off and the legation cities are open to foreign aggression or perhaps even demands from the Chinese. So that removes the open door policy, which has been quite useful. We lose 5% factory output, but honestly, you lay in the bed that you made for yourself. If China is going to retake the legation cities, then we are not going to stop them. All right, back to where are we at the moment? Back to the Siam situation, where we are pushing through the defenders on the foothills. Now we just have to manage to take the bridge and cross over into Chiang Mai, which should not be an issue. We'll leave one division behind to guard, and then from there. We will move up north. The Marine divisions have to rebuild their strength, and they will launch a second attempt at Narvik. And the mountain divisions are reconstituting as well. Supply is a little low with the Marines stationed here, so I might actually send the Marines back to Trondheim and get the naval invasion planned from there once more. So we will have a second attempt at a landing in Narvik. What we're going to do, however, this time around is we are going to land 2 divisions in Narvik itself, given that the last experience has shown that we can't get more than 2 Marine divisions into the narrow fjords anyway. And the 1st and the 202nd are going to be launched towards the north of Narvik, and from there they will be they can assault from the then entrapped troops from the north. Unternehmen Liegnitz will be the second attempt, second battle of Narvik, and slight delays again at the Norwegian front, but we will get there eventually. Back to the situation in Siam, where where we are moving into the foothills, and then we will be moving on to Chiang Mai. And there comes the final battle. I think the capital is actually undefended, so the 917th and the 3rd Königlich Sächsische are moving into the enemy city, relatively unopposed, and I think that will be the end of Siam as a country. It will be occupied. It'll be occupied by German East Asia. And there we go, almost there. Crossing the bridge, and the mountain fortress has been undefended. The last troops have moved off, and the city of Chiang Mai has fallen. Will this cause the Siamese government to surrender is the big question. So, Kingdom of Siam, the Kingdom of Siam is expected to surrender. The government is in the process of fleeing south, but the port city of Hat Yai is already under assault by German troops, so we're fully expecting them to surrender, which means I can redirect the air wings that are currently operating here towards Norway, where they can assist with the situation in northern Norway and the next assault on Narvik. The rest of the Reichspakt is joining the war in Africa, and it looks like the rebels are actually starting to make ground at places here, but Middle African troops are already on the move. So we'll just call in anyone who is actually on the continent, but there's no need for the rest to join. This is more symbolic. These troops are needed elsewhere, especially the Ukrainians who throw themselves into Russian defenses quite vigorously are needed absolutely elsewhere. Okay, we've got three dockyards, and that means I'm probably just going to put it into convoy production for now until we have the all or nothing armor scheme done in a month or so, and then we can design the next ship. Meanwhile, we are sinking enemy submarines, and Narvik is okay. The troops do need to take the railway there. Narvik is getting ready, so let's return to the situation in France and check if the troops are in position. Not quite yet. Some of the infantry units are still getting into positions, and the plan is already worked out for the Second Army, which will break through near Dijon and then just encircle and destroy any kind of French resistance south of the river, with a simultaneous attack on the north from the assault divisions to once the tanks are cutting the lines towards Orléans, then we will be joining from the north. So supply wise, Dijon is going to have to supply this, so we'll get the tanks to break through, and let's get 3 Panzer divisions to begin the breakthrough. Actually, they're positioned differently. All right, so we get these 3 Panzer divisions to begin a breach in the north, and the other 3 Panzer divisions to run a breach in the south. Then overtake and surround the French, push towards the river, and then we will destroy the French line. The Kingdom of Siam has capitulated. Great news. So German East Asia German East Asia is now in control, which means that the Paulus's 12th Army is no longer needed in the theater and can be redeployed elsewhere. Now we may. What is the political stance of the Republic of Burma? They're currently factionless. The Social Democrats and trying to keep themselves pretty much out of the war, and they have sent us volunteers as well. So do we have military access in Burma? Let's ask. They will not accept, however. Their opinion of us is too cautious. They're sending support, but military access is a step too far. So instead, we will probably redeploy Paulus's troops. How's the situation in Iran? Can we make something happen with Paulus's troops in Iran? That is probably going to completely overload the supply situation from here. But we could attempt with von Paulus's troops to fight his way through Balochistan and make a way towards Delhi from there. Alternatively, we could try to land the troops in Madras. Although these are inexperienced troops and the marine divisions, we have no marine divisions to support this. We really need some better marine divisions. Yes, we're training up a couple more, but it is going to be imperative that we are actually going to be building some better support for the marine divisions. Where are we on the tanks? Okay, we're doing the amphibious tank chassis still, so so that needs a while. But do we have a production line for the yes, for the LWS? Well, we don't have the factories yet, so we definitely need more factories. Okay, let's reduce. How's our supply? We are really short on trains, so we're definitely going to need a few more military factories. We have a whole bunch in. We have a whole bunch planned up. So I might, given that the Russian situation is holding, I might prioritize the construction of military factories at this point, and just to make sure that we are filling out these lines. All right. We are sinking. We're sinking Indian convoys, Japanese convoys, but no major naval activity. So I think we can redeploy Paulus's troops, and we are going to send them to Ceylon actually. So we might attempt an attack on India, and just to sort that out. In fact, the Ceylon infrastructure is probably not supplying this. So instead, we might just send a small detachment. Who's the most capable in this group here? We're not going to be sending the assault divisions, but we are going to send the regular infantry divisions, and they can move over to. They probably can just launch from Rangoon and across the bay, or from the islands. Ceylon really reduces the risk. Okay, we'll deploy from Ceylon. So we'll bring the troops there first, and then we'll plan a naval invasion from there. And the rest of the group can then follow up once we have established a foothold. Okay, troops in Asia moving into positions, and that brings us back to France, where von Kluge's Panzers are once again on the move, and we are going to keep an eye on both of these groups, just to make sure that nothing goes wrong. But I think the French, the French don't really stand a chance. I would love to have more soft attack, but it's mostly due to rain factors here that we're dealing with. And with air support, the northern tank groups has already broken through. So let's defend against the. Well, they'll assist with the breakthrough in the south, and then with the exploitation of said breakthrough. French troops are fleeing in panic. And I think we can just advance on a wider front, honestly, here. So let's get the 6th, the 1st, and the 5th to use their momentum, and to get around the French defenders near the Troyer line, whereas the second group is moving around. Oh, very interesting political developments here. The northern part of Borneo is German East Asian territory and borders the Dutch, are good friends of the Dutch East Indies, but the Australasian Confederation, which is part of the Entente and which has a somewhat nationalist right-wing swing in recent years, apparently claims northern Borneo. Australasian government pursuing a revanchist policy when it calls the Anderson Doctrine, has laid a claim on northern Borneo, no doubt at the prompting of the White Raja, the man who used to run the kingdom of Sarawak as his own personal playground and would like to see it restored. That means that we probably need to strengthen. The East Asian position. Good that we just wrapped up the war in Asia, and that German East Asia is in a good position. Do you need any material support? They are in need of planes and a bit of artillery, but other than that, they're actually relatively well equipped. How are they on troops? They've still got an available manpower of 200,000, so that's good. But they're going to need that to garrison Siam. However, once that's done, hopefully things will get a little better. So let's send them artillery. What do we have laying around? We should have schwere Feldhaubitzen. So let's just send them the 200 we have available. Off you go, and we'll prepare. Okay, we might have to. We definitely have to send. I think we're going to have to send the Marines actually south here if we are going to be fighting against the Australasian Confederation. There will be a war at sea involved. So strategically, this is sort of out of our area. We're probably going to keep it defensive for now. And the big question is going to be: do we want to take on India at this point, or do we reinforce the newly conquered German East Asian territories in light of a potential war with the Australians? And that'll bring the rest of the Entente in as well. So, what do we know about their strength? Somewhere between 20 and 50 divisions. They do have a few battle cruisers out there and a carrier at their disposal, and pretty much no air force. So we are going to need interesting. This is going to get interesting because that's going to get the Dutch involved as well. So there should be sufficient forces on the ground to resist a potential Entente conflict here, and it looks like. Japanese forces are actually being engaged now in the South China Sea here by German East Asia. So Japan has not been the threat that we expected them to be, but we will see about that. Anyway, von Falkenhorst's mountain divisions. Let's launch an assault north first and see if we can push the Russians back out. I think that should not be a huge problem. And corporatist representation has completed, which gives us 10% production efficiency cap, which is very much. And the advanced heavy hull is finished. Okay, hang on a minute. Let's get the administrative things out of the way, and then we will see how the Gebirgsjäger are doing in destroying some of these Russian positions and securing the Georgian line here. Okay. First of all, however, any more naval tech that we can get done on the quick, we could get snorkels underway. That might not be a bad technology to have, but I think advanced cruisers for better escort ships is something that we are going to need as well. However, are we in armor tech? We're still going to need the amphibious drive to design a tank that can actually be used. And we are still behind in a lot of the firepower technology. How is the air looking we're sort of caught up, except for sort of naval bombs, and we do need to get we could get construction 4 underway. Or how far ahead is that? Is it worth rushing dispersed without a? It probably may be, but we've got so many texts to catch up to here. How engineering text looking? That's actually 8% research speed. That might be something we need to do soon as well. Okay, let's get the advanced cruiser hull out of the way. That is relatively quick, and we are going to use the Wilhelmshaven-Werft for that. So let's get that out of the way, and we have the Wilhelmshaven-Werft with an additional point. I think we're complete on most trees here. We've got the stable gunnery platforms as a policy, and this we are just going to be able to. We're going to need both of these, yes. So anti-air layout for plus 5% anti-air. We're not going to update the templates at this point, but we can improve our air doctrines. What do we got? 199. So we can get 2 actually. Fighter escort efficiency, and that unlocks bomber defense. Yeah, that might not be bad. So let's get these. There was another one that I bypassed earlier. Deception detection. I think that's Flying Fortress is not a bad one to have. We do have a strategic bomber wing that is currently busy bombing southern France into submission. The Fernkampfgeschwader 2. They can continue doing so and practice that. We do have another Fernkampfgeschwader, I think, in Russia. There are a couple of planes up in the air. We do have, we should have some fighter wings on interception here, actually. This one as well. Interception, please. And we are training up. A couple more. We are training up a couple more wings that are actually reasonably. I think that are reasonably trained at this point. So let's get everybody up on interception. And that should. How's the northern? Oh, the northern situation is actually more in need. So we might. How many do we have here? 200. Also, we have too many. We have too many planes on this airport, I think. Yes, we do. So we are going to need. I thought this was a larger airport. We're going to need to redeploy our planes. I think it's okay. It's this one is the larger airport. We have 200. So let's keep 4 wings here and send 3 wings north to reinforce the Baltic states and to get the interception underway there. Okay, so now we've got 700 planes up for interception against 500 enemy fighters. If we can engage the Russians piecemeal, that is definitely something that we can benefit from. Lastly, we need a new national focus, and I think we are. What else can we do here? So this was 10% efficiency cap. This would be quite neat to complete all these things here. Plus 5% division organization would be nice, but 100 political power would be pretty good as well. And this will reduce the events from the democratic society resistance. Yeah, that's good. So the mandatory union membership, I think, is what we're going to be doing next. We are working on the reformation of the German state now that we have a new Kaiser who is in full support of what we're doing. All right, how is the situation looking in Georgia? We do have enemy. The enemy has aerial superiority, but I think the experienced mountain troops should not have too much problems pushing the exhausted Russians out of the mountain areas here, and then we can surround, cut off, and destroy the Russian position here. We're not in an ideal situation because we are not spread wide enough. So I think actually what we do is extend the front line towards the airport, get 2 divisions over there, then assault properly with the full force of the mountain divisions, and then we'll surround and destroy the Russians there. In France, how is it looking in France? Panzer divisions are on the move. The forward group is already pushing through the French lines. And that means we're going to send the infantry now in from the north to block the French on the river crossing, and the Panzers from the south can assist with that fight. This will encircle the defenders south of Troyes, and then allow us to push towards Orléans, secure the supply lines. Orléans is a supply hub, but we're gonna need the railway lines connected. So we'll wipe out the defenders south of Troyes, and then the rest of the tanks can already move in further towards Orléans. And Field Hospital 2 are done. So can we go further? That is a bit ahead of time. Recon 2 we could do. How are we? We're still ahead. We're still ahead here. And the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 251 would be an option as well. But what else we got? I think we are running behind at this point on artillery. So let's get the artillery upgrades done. We have yet another military-industrial organization. I am saving up 450, so that's why I'm not doing any kind of policies at the moment. Which one is this? Opel. Okay, Opel is good. We've completed the right branch. We are 3% breakthrough, 5% hardness. That would be nice as well. Or we could get more reliability on these and more speed. Let's go down this branch since we're here. And not gonna bother right now. We're going to upgrade that next time around when we get to it, because I am looking at doctrines where we can, we just have enough, where we can unlock the next path. So this leaves us with an interesting question. Which direction are we going to go down? Infiltration or assault? Assault is a bit more geared towards the armored spearheads, which kind of goes nicely with what we've been doing recently. Infiltration, however, has some really powerful bonuses. It does have some bonuses for armored as well, but it has things like minus 10% supply consumption globally. It has things like plus 25% night attack on land. So there's some good logistics in here. And it does give a bit of support to the more modern infantry, which I am kind of a fan of as well, because we do have a lot of infantry and we only have so many tank divisions, although the tank divisions do tend to do the heavy lifting. But in alternative theaters, so we're doing well against France, and I suspect we will be doing okay against Russia. But we still have a fair amount of assault infantry. We will have to fight wars in India, potentially in Southeast Asia and in the Pacific, and as such, tanks are doing okay in Europe as they are. So I think strengthening infantry for these kind of operations might not be a bad one. So I'm going to go down the right path, actually. We're going to go with infiltration. That is going to give us a 10% breakthrough and 5 organization on infantry. And then we get some bonuses to the armored parts as well, but smarter, not harder, is the motto. Okay, let's finish up the operations in France here, and we have to make sure that we do have some infantry there. To make sure that we keep the French pinned near Troyes. Tanks are still assaulting, are still trying to assault and get the dug-in French defenders out. we've got 3 French divisions that are just refusing to give up, and that's mostly because we are not actually engaging with the tanks. That's why. Okay, tanks need to reinforce this, and we've got a tank division at Orléans. Orléans has been taken, so we'll widen the front lines, get more tanks involved, and make sure that we can break through here before the French can escape. So we've almost got them. One last French division. Unfortunately, I think one may have made it out, but 4 French divisions have now been encircled, and we can leave that to the infantry to clean up and destroy the last remaining French divisions here. And then we have taken Orléans, which means we are rolling the tanks. We're rolling the tanks forward, and the front line needs to be adjusted because we are going to continue the push along the Orléans line towards Tours probably. The French really don't have any defense left at this point. I think their last hope was that they would hold at the river, but at this point the tanks are basically unstoppable. So we'll just keep using the momentum. Let's double check the supply situation. Yeah, we've taken Orléans, so we do need to break through in the north and actually get Orléans connected with railway. We have supply. We have infantry in the north, so we can send 3 tank divisions to cut in behind the French lines and use the assault infantry in the north to launch an attack once the tanks are through. So 3 tank divisions breaking through. We'll leave 1 behind to defend, and once that position is taken, then we'll get the infantry involved in the north. Okay, position is taken. Infantry attack. Probably not that one, but infantry attack in the north, and tanks support the attack in the south. And the rest of the tanks can already make the next push towards the lines and towards the ports. But we do need to make sure that we are not overextending in terms of our supply lines, and that we can actually make it across here. I think we'll launch a second attack with the assault divisions from the north to pin the French defenders in place. French counterattack from the south from Le Mans, but a very little chance. The 4th and 1st Panzer Division can defend this. The troops, the old cavalry divisions south of Paris, have been isolated near the airport, so infantry can clean that up. And we are already, we can already keep moving and try to reach Caen and see if we can cut off a few more French divisions in the north and just push them ahead of the tanks at this point. Counterattack is futile. Troops are following up. Motorized infantry is following up, and 1 tank division defend. See if we can take the city of Caen before the French defenders can arrive. And there we go. French troops have been encircled and will be, with the assistance of the tanks from the south, the French will be wiped out. And now we are once again consolidating. Infantry is still destroying the last French resistance south of Paris. We've got 6 French divisions overrun south of Le Havre, and from there on out we will be continuing the offensive. But in general, I think the French are pretty much done, which leads us to the Caucasus as probably the last item we'll look at today, where we have gotten into position. So von Falkenhorst's mountain infantry is on the attack, and at this point we should be getting a few more divisions actually on the ground here against the somewhat exhausted Russian defenders. We'll see if we can break them this time. and then continue on destroying the Russian positions near the coastline. They thought they were safe, but they are very much out of supply, and I think they are not going to be lasting particularly long here. They're counterattacking from the north to try and reconnect their troops, but the German mountain divisions are taking over the hills in northern Georgia, and the war in Africa is already complete. Great news, and I will leave that to Middle Africa to sort out. So it looks like Kenya is retaking positions there. And that means that we no longer need the Fedor von Bock in the area. The troops haven't even arrived yet, and the war has already been won. So they can once again be redeployed to the front lines in the north. And the Russian divisions here are now encircled. These three Russian divisions. Furious counterattacks against the mountain troops here, but I think the three Russian divisions that we have defeated are moving out north, and the encircled Russians in the south actually do somewhat defend themselves. So we are going to need to attack from multiple directions here. So let's stop the attack for now. Let's move some troops south, and then we will encircle and destroy. We have encircled. We will destroy the three Russian divisions on the port line. And lastly, how's this situation in Narvik? Yes, we can launch another attack on Narvik. So let's do that as the last item today. We are going to. Is Narvik fortified? Actually, Narvik is fortified from the coast. So let's see what we can do here. Okay, we will launch the assault once more, and once the troops are into position, we are actually going to concentrate the railway guns and the available artillery directly on the fortifications. So let's get. I think we can get both. Yeah, these are all of them. So let's get both operations underway. Unternehmen Liegnitz. The troops are once again embarking and are moving on Trondheim. This time around, we'll be landing Marines in the north, and we will use the combined Gebirgsjäger Marine Force plus the Air Force operating. Actually, they might have trouble getting. There is a slightly closer airbase. We don't need the Transportgeschwader here anymore, so let's bring these south, but we are going to move the tactical bombers slightly north, so because the Narvik is sort of at the edge of their range, and we'll hit them with everything we've got. And the Marines are making landfall north of Narvik, of course without supply, other than what they have brought with them. So we are just waiting for the 2nd Marine Detachment to launch the direct assault on Narvik, and then the rest of the troops is going to join battle. They will be attacked from 3 sides. They are trying to counterattack north. So the 19th Norwegian Infantry is attacking the Marine divisions positioned north, which means we can already use that diversion and send in the mountain troops from the south, and then we are going to have the other Marines joining the battle here relatively soon as well. It looks like there has been a miscommunication. The other 2 Marine divisions have landed in our own base in Norrland. They have not actually landed in Narvik, which is very unfortunate, because that means that the 2 Marine divisions that have landed north of Narvik are now actually in a relatively desperate position. So they have to attack, but now the defenders in Narvik are finding themselves encircled, and we'll have to hope that the 2 Marine divisions plus the mountain divisions together can wipe out the remaining Norwegian and British defenders on the ground, but it looks like it's just the Norwegian 5th Infantry Division left with support from the Luftwaffe. The Luftwaffe once again has come to the rescue here, and Narvik has fallen despite the blunder of the 227th and 16th Marine Infantry, landing in the wrong port at night and in foggy conditions during the chilly autumn weather. But with the heavy guns and especially the Luftwaffe, Narvik is falling, and now just the question remains: does that mean that Norway is now going to capitulate, or are they going to hold out any further? The government has retreated to Kirkenes, and is Norway out of the war? Let's see. Yes, so Norway is going to capitulate, most likely, which concludes the anti-syndicalist operations in the north. That means we're probably just going to hold, we're just going to leave Sweden to hold the territory here. But with Narvik under our control, these 6 Swedish divisions should be able to start making their moves eastwards. They have their flanks simplified, and I think the old cavalry division under von Mackensen will eventually move out of Sweden once material is available to sufficiently replace them. But for now, that is the situation in the world. France is collapsing rapidly. Even the Entente is pushing the French back, I think, along the Spain lines. So it is now becoming a race between the Entente and ourselves towards who's going to control France. So we can no longer take our time and methodically do this, but instead we will launch a full-scale attack across the French countryside and try to push the Entente out as far as possible. At the same time, there is the definite risk of a direct confrontation between the Reichspakt and the Entente if the Australian Federation decides on a military action against Reichspakt possession in the South Pacific. And Africa is relatively stable at this point, but I think we've got strong enough forces here with South Africa in the Reichspakt that any kind of Entente positions here would fall. But there might be a major African war on the horizon, and we will see how that ends up. But the next strategic objective is subjugation of France, then the naval invasion of Britain. And while that is ongoing, we are already going to start deploying the Air Force east and to begin destruction of the Russian Air Force. I don't think the French are actually contesting us in the air anywhere here. So yeah, we can move the Air Force east. It looks like there might be some resistance in Britain. We can already begin sending the long-range planes, both Fernkampfgeschwader and the Zerstörergeschwader, over Britain and start bombing London into submission. And then we will see how that ends up. The Entente had their chance to join forces with us and accept our conditions, but they have blown it. And as such, France will come under German control. Great Britain, not so much, but we will see what the political situation is when this all ends up.